What are we talking about today, Julia?
Oh, very important topic, communication.
Sí, necesito. What did you tell me over lunch today? What was that story you told me?
So this is a story about a couple who have made a decision to make a huge change in their life in their 50s and 60s. And they had decided to relocate to Spain. So they'd sold up their house, bought a property in Spain, selling everything they don't need, and then one says to the other, actually, this is your dream, not mine. I'm not going.
And they've sold everything. They are done and dusted. And, bought the place in Spain, did you say?
Yeah. So communication is...
I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because that's a sore one.
Yeah. Communication is so very... I mean, communication is important anyway in any relationship. If it's just you and you're upping sticks and you're making big changes in your life, then that's fine. But when there's other people to consider, then you have to be on the same wavelength.
You just got to talk. That's been the biggest saviour, not that our relationship needed saving per se, but it's been the biggest strength of our relationship, is that we've talked and been brutally honest at times with each other, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it's why we're happy today. And it's not all champagne and roses, is it? Every day, but the fact that when it does go a little bit Pete Tong, we have a little sit down and a chin wag, don't we, about stuff?
Yeah, and you like, I get it that you know nobody likes confrontation or uncomfortable conversations, but if you don't have those genuine or don't air your concerns, then somewhere down the road things are going to go wrong.
Well, look at what that example. Look at the build-up from that guy's obviously thinking somewhere it's not aligning with what he wants at some point, right? Mm-hmm. And then they've gone through, they've made the plans like we did, sold the place, put all the plans in place, and bought a place in a different country. So all the way along that line, he's been thinking it's not what I want. And then it comes to like the crunch day, and then you air it then. So there's always a build-up of non-communication that ends up in a right old mess, basically.
Or do you think, you know, I'm just wondering, I mean, we don't know the full circumstances of this, but that people then get scared and say, I'm going to the unknown.
Yeah.
I'm going,
100%.
you know, going where I've got no friends. I don't speak the language. This and this. Yep. And it could have been a last minute knee-jerk reaction, which is, I guess that's quite normal, to be honest. But you don't just suddenly say,
no, you don't.
I'm not doing this. You talk about it.
No, you don't. And you don't just suddenly realise on the day you're moving that you've got all those worries, do you?
Well, not really.
No, you don't, though, do you? They're building up to the point. You don't just get there and go on like, you know, you wake up in the morning and have your final cup of tea in the UK and think, actually, I haven't thought about this. I'm going to a new country. There's going to be people I don't know. We've talked about making friends in another video. I'll point you to that.
Yeah.
But you don't. People don't. But what you said there, do people get scared? Yeah, people are scared to have conversations.
Do you know, in the 90 days...
Excuse me while I have my tea.
In the 90 days where we made our plan to pack up and create a new life for ourselves, a life that we didn't need a holiday from, my goodness, there were so many insecurities, so many unanswered questions and doubts. Absolutely.
The doubts crept in.
But every time we sat down and talked about it, because, you know, like, if you had said you wouldn't go, then I wouldn't have gone, and I think vice versa. But you don't get that far down the line, surely.
And have not had the conversation.
And I get it, there will be fears and there will, you know, there will be doubts. And, you know, of course, it's not all sunshine and light, as Andrew said, and we have had some challenging times, but even when we've had the challenging times, we've sat down and talked about them and how we feel about it and how we can best deal with it and move forward.
I said to you something 2 days ago, which was unfair. And I went away and I thought about it and I came back and I apologised. At the time, it was a reaction. I can't remember what I said. It wasn't anything horrible.
No, it wasn't.
But it was something that. But I came back. I walked back in the kitchen. I said, "I'm really sorry why I said that." And we talked about it, didn't we?
we did, but actually, you were trying to get me to do something that I didn't want to do. It was out of my comfort zone.
Right.
And I should be doing it. So actually, there was no apology needed.
So you should have apologised to me.
Probably. I didn't.
It's never too late.
I thought, oh shit, this is great. This is my way out.
Cheating Arab.
I didn't communicate to you before.
No, you did in your own head, though, didn't you?
No.
Noted. I wondered why I did a little happy dance when I apologised like that.
I'm off the hook.
Yeah. I think she said something like, yeah, and so you should. I retract. I retract. But we can laugh about it, can't we? That's the point, isn't it?
You do have to communicate, and even when things are challenging, you need to talk. I remember one particular incident that when we arrived here in Spain during COVID, so it had its difficulties, but it had extra challenges because of that. And of course, we had to have our jabs, etc. And my mum is quite elderly, and I needed to be able to travel if I needed to, if that makes any sense. So I needed to have proof that I'd had my 2 jabs. And of course, all the paperwork was absolutely perfect for Andrew, who wouldn't need to travel. But if I needed to travel, they got my name backwards. And
Shouldn't have a silly name then.
And I mean, what we had to go through. I got into the car and I rang Andrew and I said, they can't change it for me because it's not done here. We've been to so many different offices and stuff. We have to go somewhere else. And I just said, I just want to cry. I really just wanted to cry. And he just said to me, look, we'll get through it. We'll get, and again, it's that conversation. And then I went, beep this. I'm not going to let it beat me. And I went, and we got it done. And then it was all about my frame of mind, wasn't it? And it was changing it. But it was about telling me how you felt. Because you phoned me from the car almost in tears. Yeah. Didn't you? And said, I don't think I can do this. So basically, we'd arrived in Spain not long before, and the red tape here will test you like nothing on this planet. Oh, Lordy. So it was a little bit of red tape. Quite a lot of red tape. And but the point was, Jules phoned me and said, I don't think I can do this anymore, And we talked it out, didn't we? Yeah. And I could have blown up and gone, just do it. But we talk it through, don't we? That's how we do things. And then it made me feel strong, and I went, nah, I'm not going to let this beat me. And we got through it, and and so, so we digress a tad, like we normally do.
Kind of, but it's an example about, had you could have come home, right, in a right old strop and not told me. I said, what's wrong? You've got nothing. How's it gone? It was all right. Gone slam the door and punch something in the bedroom. But you didn't. You phoned me. And I think this is what it's about. It's about whatever relationship you're in. It could be your spouse, your partner, your family, people at work. Everything that leads to a better life is about communication. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, probably one of the hardest things for me to do before I left Jersey was tell my mum I was leaving. My mum's quite old. My dad passed away a while ago. But can we talk about that you thought that conversation was going to be a lot harder than it actually was when you had it? I was and this is the whole point of this. And the reason we were doing this is, if you've listened to our story, is, I was stressed and whatever with my corporate job. And basically it was killing me. The doctor said, if you carry on the way you're going, you're going to have a heart attack or stroke. And I said to Mum, I've got to get out of this because of health reasons. And do you know what? She obviously didn't want me to go, but she was bloody brilliant, wasn't she? Yeah. And she understood, didn't she? Yeah, and she supported it. And, I go back now and again, not as often as I thought I would, but I do go back, and we talk every day on Facebook Messenger. Communication again. Yeah. So communication's so much easier now, even if you're not in the same location. That's a good segue, as they call it. Actually, not a segue, but it's a good point about when you're wanting to make big change, and we talk about we're going to do a video about why people don't make changes, not particularly blowing everything up and moving to Spain like we did, but a lot of people won't make those changes. And that's what you said, that if it is a location change, because a lot of it is about location change after 50, I want to move country or move to another part of the country, wherever you are, the communication is so easy now. And we thought, right, your sister and my brother-in-law, her husband, we had a little powwow one Christmas about getting your mum an iPad, right, with FaceTime on. And we said, she will never use it, right? The toys will come out of the pram, the iPad will hit the wall, and that'll be that, right? And we said, let's give it a go, because it's her only link when Jules isn't there to Jules.
Plus, also, my sister's 2 older sons are in Australia.
So that's her lifeline, right? And we come back to the same thing. It's communication, keeping the lines of communication open. So when you do make that change, or if you're trying to make that change, guys, thinking that I do actually want to move away, but I'm tired because of that, it's so much easier now, communication. It has been for years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's about how you, I wouldn't say sell it to someone, but it's about how you present it to them and say, we will be in touch. And you and your mum probably talk more on a daily basis than you did when you lived 6 miles away. You know? So it's all about how you make the communication happen.
Yeah, it is. And we will follow on with, you know, how difficult it is or what obstacles you put in the way to make change when you're in your 50s and 60s, because it does seem to get harder as you get older. But we just thought this was really important after hearing this story today. And of course, you don't have to move to Spain, be as drastic as we are, but you might want to make some changes in your life for a better second chapter. And so whether it's, as Andrew says, whether it's your spouse, your partner, your family, your friends, you know, just because you're doing something that's going to make your life better doesn't mean you need to lose touch, doesn't mean just speak to people, because then if you put your case forward, and they'll understand.
What I'd like to say here as well is, which is often the most difficult part of this, is being, if communication's broken down, which I've been through that a lot in my life, we all have, of course we have, it's been the bigger person to step up and open the lines of communication. And that's often the scary part, or it's often the stubborn part where they go, well, they're not talking, so I'm not talking. You know, it's like, guys, park that out the back and open the lines of communication, or you'll stay in that whirlpool of doom forever, you know, until it just blows up into a point where somebody says, right, we're moving to Spain today and we bought the house, and they said, we're not going. But it has to be, we have to find the courage to step up and open that line of communication, you know, and that's often the most difficult bit. If we can just go back to what Jules said a few minutes ago, is when she was going down to speak to her mum to tell her we were leaving, we talked about this for days, and you were in a mess about having that conversation with them and your sister. You were in a mess. And when Jules went down there, had the conversation she just talked about, and came back, said, how did it go? She went, amazing. It's never as bad as you think it's going to be if you're the first one to step up and open the lines of communication.
And you know, I really explain the reasons why, and why those reasons are so important to you, then, you know, that seemed to...
Can I say as well, can we sort of round up with this? When you get, obviously your mum's a lot older than we are, but what drives you mad about your mum, and it's not having a go at your mum or anything, but she's got a friend and she's exactly in that situation. You said, have you phoned so-and-so, right? Your mum's in her 90s, right?
Yep.
She's totally compass mentis, she's fine, and you said, why don't you phone whatever her name is? Because she won't phone me. We haven't got the time for this crap, guys, right? No, not over 50, not over 60, definitely not over 90. So if someone don't pick the phone up, we're going to go to our graves going, I wish I'd had one last conversation. Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's quite sad, but she's very stubborn.
Oh, is she? The apple falleth.